Mall of America. For more than 30 years, it has been a retail leader and an international destination, and it remains the largest mall in the U.S. Not to mention, it welcomes millions of guests from around the world. It's huge, but it's also so much more. In this podcast, you're going to hear the real stories of how it started and why it continues to thrive. You'll hear about challenges we faced along the way and what you can learn from them. We will feature guests and experts from all walks of life and business, and along the way, you'll laugh, learn, and maybe even change the way you look at things. So if you're a fan of the mall, a brand new visitor, an entrepreneur, or a dreamer, prepare to dive deep into so much more. This podcast is presented by the Bloomington Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Welcome to So Much More, Mall of America's podcast, learning about interesting people in the business industry and hearing kind of the behind-the-scenes stories. So I am Jill Renslow. I am your host today. I am joined by my co-host, Dan Jasper, and our wonderful guest, John Ghermezian, who's the president of Mall of America. So today we're going to talk about all the changes that the mall has and how the mall stays fresh and exciting. So let's kind of talk about the last 30 years and how has it been important for Mall of America to change and evolve over the years to keep up with the success that we've achieved over 30 years.
TLC, tender love and care.
Okay.
And I mean that literally is to have longevity, you have to care about your business and you have to care about how people view it. I think we made a decision about 8 years ago to do an incredible investment in sort of like reskinning the entire shopping center. I think I saw a study once that asked people like, you know, is a mall on the up or on the down? And what defining factor do people attribute that to? And they said investment from ownership into the property. And so one thing we've always done is we try not to neglect anything. And, you know, it's expensive. People think like we're a good business, we're in a good place. I think we went, remember the old carpets, it was sort of like dark and each
But it was cool back then.
It was cool back then,
We
right.
had the themes on
It
your
was
side.
cool 30 years ago.
That's right.
ago.
And we had Camp Snoopy, which people are still upset about what happened to it. But when we realized the times have changed and people want something new and new bright, we just kind of like re-envisioned the whole thing. And now we have quarters that are winning, you know, design awards. I think that sense where, you know, my uncle even picks out the color of the tile because he wants it to have a certain, glare when people walk over it. I think that's the point, is that you need to constantly be on top of your game. You need to be there. You need to feel it. I think, you know, people would say that. So that's probably a key driver.
Absolutely. We've had so many compliments on the renovations because it truly created this timeless backdrop that will last for years and years and years. And it allows our brands to really pop off with the color and their, you know, brand essence. And so our architecture has just received raving reviews, and it's a beautiful space just to walk through. And
It's gorgeous, and I particularly love the crystal chandeliers that are hanging, right? They're just beautiful, and I love it because at the top of them, if you've never looked up, there's a mirror on the top, and people will often stand underneath and take these wonderful photos looking straight up the chandeliers. It's another great photo op.
there's great photos. I love it. So as president of Mall of America, tell us a little bit about what is your day-to-day? What is your responsibility here on property and to lead, to be the representative from the Ghermezian family?
So I guess I serve as like a link to sort of really connect the family to the business. Obviously, I work closely with other family members. My cousin is heavily involved with the leasing, literally sees everything that happens, every deal that's signed. He's got a feel and touch for it. I like to focus more on the business itself, on how do we think about the future of Mall of America and what it means to, you know, Minnesota, the Twin Cities, and then the retail community. And so most of my time is sort of, you know, envisioning what can we do next. I learned early on that if we try to convince the retailers to do more, they're just going to have blank stares. But if we sort of innovate and create and challenge them to do more and create opportunities for them to do more, then they're going to learn from us. And so we sort of have this incredible opportunity, I believe, because we have the attention of the retail community and the consumer community, is to innovate in ways that they didn't think was possible. And that's a lot of what I like to think about. One piece I would add is retailers believe that they live in a vacuum, right? They believe that they're the center of the universe for their brand. yet they still come into shopping centers and they don't utilize the value of being in this ecosystem of other businesses. And so we often think about is how do we think about the opportunity we have as a landlord, which brings all of these great businesses together to utilize that shared environment, to share best practices, to challenge everyone together to grow. And we've had some incredible, new direction in the retail community because of that. So those are the things that excite me.
Do you have an example of a project that you brought to a retailer or a group of retailers to kind of walk us through that specific example that you said, like just to kickstart the idea so that you don't get those blank stares? Hopefully you get, more received with some enthusiasm of how they can be involved.
Yeah, and Jill and I work very closely on this, so she'll ask the question. But what we did is we Good Housekeeping magazine. So we approached them, and this was a really special project, and we convinced them that as good as your magazine is, if you can't shop it directly, right? Because people will read it and somehow have to keep it in their minds. We believe that there needs to be connectivity to some physical experience. And so we really envisioned the whole thing, pulled all the partners together, and we created Good Housekeeping Lab, which was really way ahead of its time in terms of futuristic stores. And what we did is Good Housekeeping for 3 months ran the Mall of America GH Lab store, where you could actually see the products in the magazine and then be able to go into the physical store and be able to experience those brands. And so we had Ring was in there, and they built out a front of a home so you could actually see how it looks. And Dyson had their vacuums, and they had like a heap of trash on the floor, and you could actually scoop it up. But we weren't retailers, and we didn't have inventory of all these products. So we approached Amazon we convinced them to use smile codes, which you could actually buy the product by scanning a barcode. And then, so it was like this grandiose showroom, which pulled together an incredible magazine brand that has great ties with consumer goods, and then the top online brand, which was Amazon. And this was way before Amazon had their 4-star stores, and they were trying to figure out how to create these stores. And after we were making such great movement on our store, the Amazon team started joining our phone calls to sort of learn from us what we're doing. Now, Amazon's an incredible brand, and it was a great compliment to us for us to push the envelope of what's possible. And a lot has stirred from there. So many other projects we did with McKinsey and.
Well, and I think, it gave Amazon a peek at what we're capable of doing here and the millions of people that we reach. And so our relationship with Amazon is continuing to grow. And a lot of outside people think that's interesting, to the fact that we're not running away from online shopping, that we're partnering with one of the biggest, if not the biggest, online brand that's out there. And so we recognize that consumer behaviors and expectations have changed. So we're going to embrace that. We're going to figure out how we can partner with these type of online brands. And we've seen a huge growth in even digital brands that have come to Mall of America. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that, just from a leasing strategy perspective of how do we continue to embrace these changes of consumer behaviors?
Yeah, one thing which really surprised a lot of people is the evolution of retail brands was everyone thought was going to move online. But then when the online community realized that the online space is getting so cluttered that they don't have any identity, they have no, customer acquisition is incredibly difficult because now you have to pay for every click, and they're realizing they're just getting lost in this clutter. And now the shift has been moving back to physical brick and mortar, so you can know your customer now, engage with them, and actually get more of them. And so we've seen this incredible shift taking place where now all these online brands like the Casper mattresses and the Indochinos of the world, because we've aligned our property to really be very forward and innovative, people associate Mall of America as the cutting edge in retail. So we have to be there too, because that's a good place when we roll out just our first 2 or 3 stores. And so we've really, and this is true about West Edmonton Mall of America, and American Dream in New Jersey, which is our 3rd property that we opened more recently. We will get the first to market concepts as they're rolling out their portfolios. And we've had the Dollar Shave Club. They wanted to test out. They didn't know how to work in brick and mortar, so they did this Dollar Shave Club, really fancy, robotic store. There's so many of them we worked with. Just the list is endless. But I think the point is you're pointing out is that as long as we keep top of mind as industry leaders, then when the retail community is trying to innovate, they're always going to look to us to sort of be part of that process. And we've built so many incredible, like Build-A-Bear. We've tested 3 or 4 concepts that they had Build a Cupcake at one point, which was the first one was at Mall of America. And we're so proud that we've created that environment for people to feel comfortable to try new things with us.
Absolutely. And it's changed our leasing strategy, right? We've reduced our timelines as far as with our contracts with our different brands, because sometimes they just want to test drive. They want to do a pop-up, but a lot of times those turn into permanent leases because they have such great success here. So my next question is about just idea generation and how, it's easy to come up with ideas, right? People come up with ideas all the time, but the hard part is making it a reality. So any advice to business leaders or brands about how we do that here? How do we approach those ideas? How do we move them forward, and how do we make them become a reality?
Great question. I guess you can have a lot of great ideas, but if you don't have the right partners and the right team to execute on them, you won't get anywhere. It'll frustrate it. And, it is always going to be a little frustrating because you're always going to have ideas. And I do that, right? And thankfully I have a good team that will push back and say, well, we're working on 3 of them already. Like, hold your horses. But, that's part of what we do is we challenge each other. And there's that, mutual respect. But I think once we all galvanize an idea and we believe that this is really going to be good, and we see the enormity of the opportunity, depending on the partner that we're working with, then it almost like pulls everyone together. And when we create special teams that can do their day-to-day job, which everyone's inundated with work, but we keep everybody excited because we have these new projects that we're all working on, and everyone gets to be involved in some way that can contribute to it, that I think really helps us get. So it really is having a good team that you have confidence that can execute. And then I think even more is like the partners that you work on. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to know who does it best and then bring them all together. And we've done that so many times.
Absolutely.
And I think the other part of that is, or at least what I've heard consistently from you is think big, right? Anything is possible. I remember, if I can just share one really quickly, I remember our old directories, our former directories, which were tower directories, and they were just old fashioned. And then working as a team, developed these digital directories. And I know you were a part of that process as well. What did we learn from those in that process?
Wow. I'll tell you why the directories are so dear to my heart. I have the worst sense of direction on the face of this earth.
So now we learn the real stuff.
I get lost turning out of my block of my house. My wife just consistently makes, I tell her I'm always thinking about important things, so I can't be bothered with how to get where we're going. I'm perpetually lost. I don't know, that part of my brain just didn't process. So when I first came here, I was always lost. And it sounds weird. I just didn't know where I'm going, and I couldn't find the brands. And I felt like if I'm, with the ownership team and I'm frustrated, how difficult could this be for everyone else that, has got to look up those signs? And, it was disaster. And I know our team did an incredible job of vetting out the whole industry and finding out what are options for directories. And when we realized nobody has what we wanted, we created it ourselves. And we've won awards. We presented our directories to the United States government because they were so innovative. And now they're trying to roll out the same platform technology in the US. But if you think about it from a business standpoint, this is sort of where the value creation is. Of course, it was a big investment and it took a lot of time. But imagine it took 3-4 minutes to find one retailer on those old directories. Now, with our directories, it's 30 seconds. Like we have statistic 35 seconds. So if we just shaved 3 minutes from millions of consumers, we've created millions of hours of shopping just from a small tweak that we were able to do. And then on top of that, we have so many more ideas about how to make it even more efficient. So those are some of the, definitely very exciting. I used to stand for hours just watching people interact.
I remember.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
And I have emails, we need to change this, we need to push this. And it made everybody crazy, but like we got the right cocktail.
But you know what, it is. I mean, we've fine-tuned it and we continue to. We learn from it, we listen to consumers of what their feedback is. And I think it's a great example because as a company, we look for inspiration outside of our industry. And actually the form factor of that directory was inspired by the airport because it was intuitive for people to be able to walk up to this interactive touch screen, but that wasn't too large where you were sharing your search or your activity with the rest of the world behind you, but it was still personalized, but large enough that it made it a really good guest experience. And so that inspiration was able to be implemented into the retail and entertainment space and has been expanded beyond here. So I think it's really important to recognize that ideas come from everywhere you look, and it's not just within your four walls. So, and I think that's what's special about Mall of America is that anything it really is possible.
Absolutely, it is possible, and that's something that leadership and ownership encourages team members to do as well, is look outside.
Yep.
Take time and explore other opportunities, because you're going to get inspired by something, and that will create something really cool here at the mall.
So let's talk about the future. What does it look like for Mall of America and your role as a leader here? How do you inspire us to look ahead? And what does the future of shopping and entertainment look like?
So you've heard me say this. Not many companies in their history have been able to have the brand recognition that we have as Mall of America. I mean, if you think about it, it's such a silly thing. How does 99% of Americans know about Mall of America? They don't know about the mall on the state next door to them. Yeah. And that's due to for the most part, because of what we've been able to create here, and that we are industry leaders in everything that we do. And so we've created this incredible brand power that surpasses our four walls. And I've said this so many, we talk about this all the time, is how do we recognize the value of that brand outside of the four walls of our space, right? We have these four walls. We have a lot of value generation and creation within the four walls, but how do we capture the name of Mall of America so that it really expands what we are? And a lot of our thinking, and when we talk to partner brands, is we challenge them with that thought, is how could you leverage our brand and what we've been able to be to the consumer and the retail world? What does it do for you? And if you partnered with us, how could we push your business forward and ours? And we partner with so many startup technology companies that were utilizing this when we started our chat service with, helping people like text the mall and have 10-minute conversations about what the best birthday present for their mother is. Mm-hmm. And this evolution of how do people experience the shopping mall outside and interact with our brand, that's where I think is a huge, huge opportunity for us. And we're already utilizing that.
Are there any current projects that you're working on that you can give us a little sneak peek on, or for the listeners and viewers to learn a little bit about?
Can't divulge too much on it, but we're not afraid of digital and online innovation. We believe that there is an entire world of incredible brands that have yet to be discovered. And we are partnering with some of the top, digitally native companies to help create experiences that help the evolution of the retail brands come to brick and mortar. And a lot of them don't know what to do, and they don't know how to do that. And so going beyond the conventional, okay, this is our square footage, this is how much it costs to be here, we're starting to create models which doesn't just do that, it helps them build their brand. And we talk to them about how much exposure and how much customer acquisition they're going to get through this experience, and how to operate their store and how to design their store. I'm personally very proud of, when a lot of the, difficulties were happening in downtown in the marketplace here, when everyone was talking about, oh, we need to do something, we need to help. We actually stepped up and we opened up the community commons, and we said any business that was, affected because of what was happening, the unrest, we're going to let you open up a store at Mall of America. And of course, that was a community-driven effort, and we love that. But it also helped these brands that never had exposure to be able to really be in Mall of America, and a few of them actually expanded, and now they're full-line stores at Mall of America. But we saw a problem, and then we thought about what do they need and what is aligned with our business interests. And when you think like that of mutual value, you can have so much opportunity that's created from there. And that's sort of the line of thinking that we usually have.
What is the one thing that's coming down the pipeline in the retail and entertainment industry that people don't know about yet?
Ooh. One thing that will be utilized a lot more is, I think live stream shopping is something that we've tested a lot.
Yep.
is to allow markets. It's a little bit of what we've talked about, and I don't think anyone's really got it right. And I think a lot of it has to do with telling the story of retail. And I think sort of what we're starting to do is start to incorporate not just the selling of products, but also the stories behind them. And because of our rich environment, that's something that I'm very excited about for the future.
Well, to wrap up today's episode, we're going to give you a couple just quick questions. Don't think about the answers much. Just give us a little rapid
Take a deep
fire.
breath.
Just a couple to wrap us up. So what brand do we not have here at Mall of America today that you would love to add to our retail mix?
Ooh, what brand do we not have?
We have a lot. So
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we do. We do have a whole bunch. Yep.
It's this is going to go back, but the Sharper Image stores. Do you remember those?
Yes.
yeah.
So there was a store called Beta that was doing a lot of that. I'd love to challenge the community to come up with something that allows people to experience new and innovative consumer products in a real way. And I think that that's missing right now, and someone can really take that to the next level, because there's so many great innovators today that are lost.
Absolutely. And by the way, Sharper Image can ionize anything. I'm just saying.
I love it. I love it. Okay, next question. What is your favorite place to travel?
Favorite place to travel? This is not going to be so unique, but probably Florida. I like to go down south with the family.
Nothing wrong for a
Get
little
to the
Florida
beach.
sunshine.
Just the weather, the warm.
Just the weather, the warm. Yeah, I grew up in Edmonton, so I'm constantly defrosting.
Favorite family tradition?
Favorite family tradition? No question, it's when the extended family gets together for the holidays. That's the most special time for me. Is when we all just reconnect. And as the family's getting so big, it's getting more difficult. So I really cherish those opportunities.
Awesome. And last question, what would you say is the next bucket list item that you want to tackle?
Personally, or
Either way.
This is a big thought for me, but I just want to make an impact in the world and do good. And so I hope that my mind and my family and the business allows us to constantly be thinking about how we could really make the world a better place. I know it sounds so cliche, but that's
awesome.
That's my passion. And
Well, there you have it. There's John Ghermezian, President
Thanks,
of
John.
Mall of America. Thank you so much for joining us today.
thank you.
And that is so much more. So be sure to tune in for future episodes to learn more about Mall of America. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of So Much More. If you want to hear more, be sure to subscribe to our podcast wherever you find your favorites, including Spotify, Apple, or Google Podcasts. And you can also watch a videocast on YouTube. Go to podcast.mallofamerica.com to leave a review, ask a question, or give us an idea for the show. Until next time, thanks for listening. So Much More is presented by the Bloomington Convention and Visitors Bureau, the official destination marketing organization for the city of Bloomington, Minnesota. Before your next trip to Mall of America, visit bloomingtonmn.org for answers to all your travel questions, deals and packages for hotel stays, and so much more.